My name is Emily, and for many years I believed my life was perfectly ordinary. I was married to David, a man who worried about everything so that I wouldn't have to. We had 2 children, our son Jack, already in elementary school, and our daughter Lily, still living with my mother-in-law in the countryside because we didn't have the space or time to raise both kids under one roof. David was the kind of man who cooked dinner, washed dishes, and even tutored Jack with his homework every evening. I usually handled laundry, but truth be told, if our washing machine weren't fully automatic, David would probably take over that too. Life was simple, peaceful, and, at least I thought, happy. But then, one small discovery changed everything. That weekend, I met my best friend Anna at a karaoke bar. She was upset, and after singing a few loud, off-key songs to vent her feelings, she finally admitted, "Emily, my husband is cheating on me." I was stunned. Anna said softly, "Anna, don't joke about something like that." Anna shook her head, her voice trembling. "Do I look like I'm joking? He told me he was working late every night. He said weekends were for fishing trips to relax. But last week, I saw him walking with another woman, laughing together. When I called, he told me the fish were biting and hung up on me." Her eyes filled with tears. Anna cried, "Men, they always pretend to be righteous, but inside they're full of lies. Emily, trust me, no man is truly loyal. You'd better check on David too. Who knows what he might be hiding?" I tried to laugh it off, but her words burrowed deep into my mind. That evening, back at home, I watched David as he patiently guided Jack through his math homework. His face was calm, his voice steady. Could a man like this really hide secrets from me? But Anna's warning kept echoing in my head. Men always hide something. I couldn't resist. Emily said casually, "David, can I borrow your phone? I need to click a link on Amazon for some shopping help." David frowned. "Those things are all scams." Emily insisted playfully, "Come on, just give it to me." He sighed, then handed me his phone. He knew from experience that I wouldn't give up otherwise. I sat on the couch and scrolled. His contacts looked normal. His call history, too. Even his what-up messages were harmless. Mostly colleagues, old friends, nothing suspicious. I felt my shoulders relax. Then I opened the payment history. My heart skipped a beat. Every single month, on the day his salary was deposited, David transferred money to someone named Sophie. Sometimes a few hundred, sometimes 1,000 or 2. It had been going on for 2 or 3 years. My breath caught in my throat. Emily whispered to herself, "Sophie? Who is Sophie? His lover? His secret mistress?" My chest tightened. Tears blurred my vision. I slammed the bedroom door open. Emily shouted, "David!" Both David and Jack jumped in fright. Jack dropped his pencil. David walked out slowly, looking worried. David asked gently, "What's wrong?" Emily yelled, her voice shaking, "Don't play dumb with me. Who is Sophie? Why do you send her money every month? Tell me, are you cheating on me? David stepped forward, reaching for my shoulders. David said calmly, "Emily, please, calm down. Trust me." I pushed him away. Emily cried bitterly. "Trust you? You've been sending money to another woman for years. Do you expect me to believe you haven't betrayed me?" David's tone hardened. "I will not allow you to insult her like that." I stared at him, shocked by his sudden seriousness. Emily spat. "Oh, so now you're protecting her? What's next? Are you planning to leave me and marry her?" David took a deep breath. David said firmly, "Tomorrow is Sunday. I'll take you to meet Sophie. After that, you can say whatever you want." The next morning, David cooked breakfast as usual, pretending nothing had happened. He urged me and Jack to eat, then led us to the car. We drove out of the city toward the countryside. Jack cheered at the sight of trees and rivers. He loved going on little adventures. Finally, we stopped near a reservoir. The sunlight sparkled on the water's surface. David asked softly, "Do you remember this place?" I blinked. Memories flooded back. Years ago, when David and I were still dating, we came here. I had slipped into the water while trying to catch a tiny fish. David had pulled me out, saving my life. Or so I thought. Emily said quietly, "Yes, this is where you rescued me." David shook his head. David explained, "Not exactly. I didn't do it alone. Another man, a stranger, helped me pull you out. He pushed me forward with all his strength so I could save you. But he never made it out himself." I gasped. Emily whispered, "Why didn't you tell me before?" David looked away. "Because I knew you would blame yourself. You have such a kind heart. I didn't want you to feel guilty." We drove further into the countryside, stopping at a small farmhouse. An elderly woman greeted us warmly, and beside her stood a young girl, about 9 years old, with bright eyes and a shy smile. David introduced gently, "Emily, this is Sophie." Sophie looked up at me politely. Sophie said in a small voice, "Hello, Aunt Emily." I felt my heart soften. She was just a child. David crouched beside Sophie. David explained, "Sophie's father was the man who helped me save you that day. He gave his life for us. Since then, I've been sending money to help Sophie and her grandmother. Her mother remarried years ago and left her behind." Tears welled in my eyes. Emily whispered, "So all this time, it wasn't betrayal. It was gratitude." David nodded. David said quietly, "I couldn't bring myself to tell you. I thought you might misunderstand. But Sophie means nothing romantic to me. She's like family, the daughter of the man who saved us."
That afternoon, David cooked in Sophie's small kitchen. He prepared dish after dish, filling the table with food. Sophie's grandmother smiled gratefully, and Jack played with Sophie, chasing each other around the yard. As we all sat down to eat, I watched David carefully set food on Sophie's plate, the same way he did for Jack. His care was not the love of a man for a woman, but the kindness of a father figure. I realized how wrong I had been. Emily thought to herself, I accused him of betrayal, when in fact he was honoring the man who once saved my life.
On the way home, I held David's hand tightly. Emily said softly, David, from now on, I want to help too. Let's raise Sophie as if she were our own daughter. We'll save money, work hard, and make sure she has a future. David looked at me, his eyes glistening. David whispered, Thank you, Emily. I was so afraid you wouldn't understand. I leaned my head against his shoulder. Emily said gently, We'll make it work. Sophie will never feel alone again. That night, lying in bed, I thought about the phrase I had once read online. There's no such thing as peaceful years, only because someone else is carrying the weight for you. David had been carrying that weight all along, quietly, without complaint. I felt a mixture of guilt and love. And as I drifted into sleep, I promised myself that I would stand beside him, sharing that weight for the rest of our lives.